Writer's block. It's one of the most common things. Let me tell you that it actually doesn't exist. You feel it, it's real. But when I say it doesn't exist, so why are you feeling it? There are a few causes of this. The first one is perfectionism. You know this, everyone knows this, but we still have it. So what you try to do is you want to write, but you want to edit at the same time, which is not possible. We talk about this the whole time. Just start writing. Just let it go, finish your first draft, finish the session that you have at that moment without looking back that much, and then you can edit. If you try to be perfect, you're gonna have a lot of trouble. So the first one is perfectionism. Whenever you try to be perfect on the page, your sentences, your structure immediately, your characters' traits, you cannot have them perfectly at one go. You have to work at it. So you need to have a balance between the go and the edit. Just spilling and then editing. We will talk more about this in future videos, but right now what you can do is just stop perfectionism and realize that it's about perfectionism, nothing else. So once you realize this, once you diagnose this, the cure is much faster. So first one is this. Stop editing yourself, just let it go. What if it's not perfectionism? What if I'm in the middle of a script and I just genuinely don't know what happens next, or a scene just isn't flowing? This is probably the second most common cause of this. This is very normal, I can tell you. You have a problem with your current level of writing and you have to step back. What I mean by that is, if you're writing dialogue and you think your dialogue is not working, your problem is probably at the structure. If you cannot find the next step in your structure, it's probably in the beginning of your story, what we call the attractor. If you cannot write the attractor, it means your idea is still not there. So every time you hit a wall when you are unable to write, and you know you're not into the perfectionism thing, what you can do is take a step back and try to look at your story from a wider angle. And you will realize that there's a problem in there. One of the most common things I keep hearing is that I cannot write dialogue. Because you're trying to write the dialogue. You should not. You should have the structure already on the page. You should have your character already set up within the structure, and then the dialogue comes kind of naturally. You will have struggle, of course. It's not going to be as big as a writer's block. So when you're having this kind of a trouble with the dialogue, step back and look at first the big structure. What is not working with my story? You can ask. And then if the story is working, you're sure, you can look at the scene. So what is not working at the scene level? We will talk about scene writing as well very soon. If your scene goals are not working, if you don't have an end to your scene, just like your film, it's not going to work. You cannot write dialogue because you have nowhere to go. This sentence, I cannot write dialogue. At least 90% of the time, I know that this person does not have an ending to their story yet. So I ask, do you know where you're going with your story? Well, again, like 90% of the time, no. You cannot write, you cannot come to the dialogue level in writing without first having your whole story structured properly. There are some writers who don't structure. They just try to go draft by draft. It is possible if you're capable of taking it, because it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of effort to find out what is not working in that finished text, and then you should step back, look at the whole text and find the structure out there, and then go work over there. Some very talented writers like J.R.R. Martin, for example, works this way. He just goes with the draft and then comes back and kind of looks at it, but the first draft is already very good. But I know that these people have the structure in their head, like very clearly. You might not be one of them. You don't have to be one of them. This is not like this is talent and you're not talented. Definitely this is not the case. Just however you're comfortable with, go further with that thing and it's gonna work, trust me. If there's a problem, if it's not perfectionism, then it might be very likely the structure. So step back, look at the structure, and you will find your way. It's easy to say turn off your inner editor, but how do you actually do that in practice? Are there any tricks to force yourself to just write? Yes, we need to create momentum. Biggest cure of perfectionism is just not thinking and just writing. In order to do that, there's an app for this. I'm going to share the link on the description. This is a very old app actually, and it keeps changing name and website, so I might take it to my website actually. So at some point you might see my website there, so no problem. This is a tool that lets you write. First you choose a goal, either a minute, a duration, or a word number that you want to hit. So let's say you chose 3 minutes, you sit down and you start writing. Then if you stop writing more than 6 seconds, it's going to delete everything you have written so far. If you finish your goal, you will be able to download what you have written so far. This sounds very scary, yes, but it also deals with your perfectionism so well. So I would recommend that you try it at least whenever you have some writer's block. I would suggest that you use it daily because it works so well. Like, you close everything, you shut down everything, and you just keep writing, which is a breeze. And then you will have the editing time that you choose whatever you want to discard, whatever you want to keep, and then you will go on your way. So this is a very good way to, if you're too structured and you cannot let go, this is a very good way to let go. And if you are too much in the flow, this is a dedicated time for you to be in the flow, and then you will have your editor time as well. So if you're in both extremes, this is kind of great help for you to have. What if I've been staring at the keyboard for so long that just sitting at my desk gives me anxiety? What do you do when the physical act of writing is the block? This might happen. I have seen this happen, rarely though. So please, before that, look at the other stuff. Like, if it's perfectionism, if it's the structure, whatever, just look at there, and then if still this thing persists, then come back here. So the thing is, sometimes the medium itself that we are writing becomes too much of a burden to us, psychological burden, I mean. So let's say you are on your keyboard, you're in the same place, you're looking at the same screen, you're having the same means of writing. Sometimes this might be too much if you have some other burdens psychologically. So what I would suggest is, I know when you're typing too fast, it's hard to do, but take a pen, take a paper, change the location, and at least for a while, try to write it that way. This way you will have a completely different mindset. First of all, you will get slowed down. This is like a huge friction trying to write with pen. And the other thing is, it's a kind of a different mindset because you don't actually delete anything. You just mark, and it becomes like, start to take care of it. You know, this is very strange. If you have been on a film set, when you're shooting 35mm on film, everyone is much more careful on set. It's like you're more respectful to the medium itself. And this is pen and paper for writing. Compared to that, nowadays we're shooting video. We can just shoot, stop, reshoot, stop and reshoot, like continuously, and then we can have so many data to work with. You lose that importance of the medium, right? So pen and paper basically gives you back, and instead of writing with the keyboard with the flow, you just think more because you have more of an action going on. So this might change a lot. The other thing is, I don't really recommend this, but if you're having really struggles, and some people only write this way, by the way. So you just take a recorder, your phone, whatever, you record your voice and then transcribe it to go forward. This is a possibility. Writing, the act of writing and the act of speaking are two different things. You might be in a minority for this, so it might work for you. So if nothing works for you, try this. Generally, this is the stuff. I think this will help you a lot. So that's it. I think by using all these techniques and suggestions, you will be able to overcome your writer's block, and I hope it will work for you. So if there's anything else, write down in the comments. We go through one by one. I want to answer all of them. I have a screenwriting cohort that I do monthly. There you will have the perfect accountability, and also you won't have to stare at the blank page by yourself because we are working together and I push you towards the light, so to speak. So if you're interested, go down below at the link and see you on the next video.